Hey guys, tonight we're stepping back, way back to a time of glorious castles, noble knights, and powerful monarchs. You've probably seen the movies the king bathed in golden light, a crown gleaming on his head, a beautiful queen by his side, all ready to rule a shining kingdom. It's a pretty picture, isn't it? A fairy tale, a dream. Well, tonight we're going to dim the lights on that fairy tale and get to the grimy, uncomfortable, utterly unmagical truth. We're going to live a day in the life of a medieval king. And let me tell you, you probably wouldn't last the first hour. It's a job you would not want. The romance of it. That's all a modern invention. The reality was a daily grind of discomfort, bad smells, and constant anxiety. It was less like a grand monarch and more like a CEO with a severe hygiene problem who just happened to be in charge of an entire country. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And if you're listening in, let me know where you are in the comments and what time it is for you right now. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The first thing you feel is the cold. It's a deep, bone-chilling cold that seeps up from the stone floor and right into the straw mattress you're lying on. Your body already a few years past its prime aches from a night spent on lumpy hay and in a room that's about as well insulated as a colander. Your breath puffs out in a cloud and you wince as a faint, distant scent of smoke and something vaguely meaty wafts your way. You are a king and your bedchamber is a drafty, echoing stone hall. It's not private, far from it. You're surrounded. By your personal guard, of course, but also by pages, servants, and various courtiers who even now in the gray pre-dawn light are starting to stir. They've slept on pallets and benches all around you, their soft snores and rustles a constant low murmur. There is no such thing as a private moment. Not for a king. You're a medieval king. Maybe your name is Edward, or Louis, or Frederick. It doesn't matter because your daily life is defined by the same universal truths of the 13th century discomfort and lack of privacy. The first real light of the day doesn't come from a window, but from a servant who nervously lights a taper. The small flame flickers, casting long, dancing shadows on the high stone walls. The room smells like old parchment stale air and too many unwashed bodies. A low cough sounds from the corner and you hear the shuffling of feet as a page scrambles to bring you a basin of water. This is your first morning ritual. The basin is made of bronze and the water inside is a pale, murky color. It was drawn from the well last night, and it's a frigid shock against your face. You splash it on a quick, cursory rinse to get the last vestiges of sleep out of your eyes. You're not washing for cleanliness. You're washing for show. Your morning routine is a performance always with an audience watching your every move. It's a constant low-grade stressor, the knowledge that you are never, ever alone. There's a joke in there somewhere about a king's life being a reality show with no camera crew, just a really, really huge cast. The water, of course, is a breeding ground for, well, you don't want to think about it. Historians still debate whether medieval people fully understood the link between dirty water and disease, but they knew stagnant water was bad. You, in your regal ignorance, just splash it on and move on, hoping you don't pick up a new ailment today. The servant holds out a rough linen towel and you rub your face dry, feeling the scratchy fabric against your skin. You can already feel the grime of the day settling in. It's only 6 a.m. Now for your clothes. Your royal robes are laid out on a heavy oak chest. They're beautiful in a stiff, uncomfortable way. Layers of heavy wool and linen, all designed to make you look powerful and imposing. The underclothes are a rough, scratchy linen, probably home-woven. The stockings are wool. The tunic is also wool, thick and hot. And on top of that, your outer tunic and a heavy mantle lined with ermine. It's a fashion choice that screams important person and also very hot and prone to chafing. You feel the weight of it all as you pull it on the various servants fussing around you, pulling at the fabric, adjusting the hang of the cloak. You remember one of your great-uncles who was so fat he had to be lowered into a chair, but even he wore these layers. It's a part of the job. You can't just wear a t-shirt and shorts. The symbolism of the clothes is too important. Now, a common historical fact you might know is that medieval people didn't bathe often, and you as king are no exception. A full bath is a major event, not a daily routine. It takes hours to heat enough water and lug it to your bedchamber in a large wooden tub. It's a special occasion maybe once a month for a formal cleansing. So for the rest of the time, you have to deal with the smell. And you do, by layering more clothes on, and by covering it up with perfume. But it's not the perfume you're used to. It's a heavy, oily concoction of musk and crushed flowers that, to your modern nose, smells more like a mistake than a luxury. It's so strong it almost makes your eyes water. But it's necessary. You sweat in these clothes, especially during the summer, and the smell of a medieval court is a thing of legends, not in a good way. Now, for a more unusual fact, your personal guard isn't just there to protect you from assassins. They're also there for your excretions. That's right. When you have to use the chamber pot, a servant holds it for you. There is no going into a private room. Privacy is a concept that simply doesn't exist for a medieval king. You can't just wander off to the loo. Your entire life is a public performance, and yes, that includes your bowel movements. It's a humbling and frankly disgusting part of the job that no one ever talks about. Can you imagine? You have to conduct your royal business while a page looks politely at the wall. It's a detail that truly drives home just how little personal space you have. It makes you almost feel sorry for these guys. Almost. Once dressed, you move on to your teeth. Your dentist isn't exactly a dentist. He's a barber surgeon. He's also the one who will lance your boils and amputate your limbs if you get an infected splinter. He holds out a piece of rough linen cloth and a small bowl of something you'd rather not identify, but is a mixture of herbs and salts. You rub it on your teeth with the cloth. It's a coarse, unpleasant feeling, and it doesn't do much for the enamel. Cavities are a constant problem for you. Your teeth are already stained and worn down from a lifetime of eating coarse bread and grit. And the pain. It's a dull, ever-present throb in your jaw that you've learned to live with. There's no Tylenol. Just an old remedy that probably involves more herbs and a prayer. And there you are, dressed sort of clean and ready to face the day. Your stomach rumbles. It's time for breakfast. You've probably been awake since before dawn and you're already hungry. But breakfast isn't a casual affair. It's the first official meeting of the day. You head to the Great Hall, a cavernous, smoky room filled with the echoes of 1,000 conversations. It's always a hub of activity. Courtiers, nobles, and petitioners are already milling about trying to catch your eye. You feel a sense of dread. The day has barely begun, and you're already under siege. Your breakfast is a piece of stale bread, maybe some meat left over from the night before, and some watered-down ale. This isn't a choice, it's a necessity. Water from the well could be contaminated and milk spoils easily. Ale, even weak ale, is a safer bet. And your breakfast isn't a quiet affair. You eat at a high table separate from the others, but you're still an exhibit. Everyone watches you. They watch how you break your bread, how you lift your cup, who you speak to. The simple act of eating is another layer of the performance. The first few hours of your day are filled with people. Always people. You're constantly being pulled in a dozen directions. A baron wants more land. A bishop wants a favor. A foreign ambassador wants an audience. Your royal duties are not a list of grand pronouncements. They are a series of endless small personal interactions. You have to listen to everyone nod sympathetically and try to make a decision that won't make you any more enemies than you already have. Your throne room is not a private office. It's a public space where anyone with enough standing can approach you. This is a commonality of kingship that crosses eras and cultures. But a more specific, less-known truth is that these interactions are often conducted while a minstrel plays a song. The music is a constant backdrop, meant to soothe and entertain, but it can also be a distraction. And you have to listen to a man with a lute while a foreign dignitary tries to convince you to go to war. The air in the Great Hall is thick with smoke from the central hearth and the smell of unwashed bodies. There are no chimneys, just a hole in the ceiling, so the smoke just hangs in the air, stinging your eyes. You're always a little congested, always a little hoarse from breathing in the soot. You've had a sore throat for months and your cough won't go away. This is the reality of your opulent surroundings. Your castle is a marvel of architecture and engineering, but it's also a giant, cold, smoky stone box. One of the debates that historians still have about medieval kings is just how much they personally dealt with all of these details. Did they really sit through every single petition, or did they have a team of trusted advisors? The answer, of course, is both. They had advisors, but they were also expected to be accessible to be seen to be ruling. Your schedule is a whirlwind of meetings, each one a test of your patience and your political acumen. You have to be a judge, a diplomat, a general, and a father to your people, all before lunch. And now it's time to talk about your body. You are not a physically comfortable person. Your clothes are heavy and scratchy. You are likely covered in flea bites and lice. They are a constant, itchy reality of medieval life. The straw in your mattress is a perfect home for them, and you just have to learn to live with the crawling feeling. You can't just call an exterminator, it's just life. This is one of those small personal truths of the medieval era that makes you cringe. Imagine being a king with all that power, and you can't get rid of a simple flea. It's a perfect metaphor for the paradox of your position. You are a king, and yet you are a hostage to the world around you. Your day is a constant negotiation with the limitations of your time. You can't just snap your fingers and have a hot bath. You can't just walk to the other side of the castle in a few minutes. It's a long, cold walk, often in the open air, and you have to have a dozen guards trailing behind you. You don't get to eat your meals alone or in a quiet room. You don't even get to go to the bathroom alone. The very things we consider basic human dignities, privacy, cleanliness, comfort, are simply not a part of your life. They are luxuries that you, the most powerful man in the kingdom, simply do not possess. And as the morning drags on, you can feel the weight of it all pressing down on you. This is the hidden truth behind the gilded portraits and the stained glass windows. This is the part of the story they never show in the movies. The part where the king's grandeur is just a shell, and inside he's just a man who is cold, itchy, and tired. And it's only the middle of the morning. You're already exhausted. You've been awake for hours, and the rest of the day looms ahead, full of more meetings, more decisions, and more people watching your every move. And you realize something as you listen to a minor nobleman plead his case, that this is your life. This is the way it has always been and the way it will always be. Your body is a public trust, your decisions are public property, and your life is a public performance. And it truly, truly sucks more than you ever could have imagined. You survived the morning. Barely. The stale ale is doing little to soothe your rumbling stomach, and the constant stream of petitioners has left your head throbbing. The midday meal, however, promises a break. A time to sit, eat, and, well, to be even more on public display than you were before. You remember the last feast, a blur of loud music, cloying perfumes, and too much meat. It's not a meal, it's a marathon. You move from the private quarters, or at least the slightly less public quarters, back into the echoing vastness of the Great Hall. It's always the Great Hall. It's the heart of the castle, the place where all business, all entertainment, and all meals take place. As you step inside, the noise hits you first. It's a cacophony of sound, the shrill notes of a rebec, the low thrum of a lute, the clamor of a dozen different conversations, the clattering of wooden platters, and the deep baying of your hunting dogs who are allowed to roam freely under the tables, hoping for scraps. The air is thick with smoke from the hearth, and a new mix of smells: roasting meat, simmering stews, the faint sweetness of wine, but also the sharp acidic tang of spilled ale and the pungent aroma of unwashed people packed into a single room. Your nose, already accustomed to the morning's grime, is now assaulted with this sensory overload. It's like a medieval food festival minus all the health regulations. You make your way to the high table, a raised platform at the end of the hall that separates you and your most important guests from the rest of the court. You are quite literally on a pedestal. Everyone watches as you take your seat. The chairs are hard-carved oak, draped in heavy tapestries to make them slightly more comfortable. Your chair is a throne in all but name, a towering, uncomfortable piece of furniture that tells everyone exactly who you are. The meal begins. It's not a relaxed affair. Course after course arrives, carried by pages who nervously weave through the crowds. First come the pottages, thick, lumpy stews of meat and vegetables seasoned with whatever spices are on hand. Then the roasted meats. You're presented with a massive platter bearing a whole roasted peacock, its feathers carefully reattached to make it look as if it's still alive. It's a spectacular sight, but you know from experience that it will taste dry and stringy. This is a common historical fact about medieval feasts. The food was often more about show than about taste. The presentation was everything. It wasn't about a culinary experience, it was about a display of wealth and power. Roasting a whole peacock, swan, or boar was a way of saying, I am so rich and so powerful that I can afford to waste all this expensive meat on a single impractical dish. As a king, you don't get to choose what you eat what is presented to you. A servant stands behind you, a small, worried-looking man whose entire job is to cut your food into manageable pieces. There are no forks. That's right. You eat with a knife and a spoon, and most of all with your fingers. You have to be careful with which finger you use, as some are considered more polite than others. You tear at the tough meat with your fingers and knife the grease slicking your hands. A servant brings a basin of water for a quick rinse between courses, but the water is cold and often dirtier than your hands were to begin with. It's all a performance of cleanliness, not the real thing. The food is, well, it's not great. It's usually overcooked, and the spices, cinnamon, cloves, ginger, are used so heavily that they completely overpower the flavor of the meat. Spices are a status symbol, not a seasoning. They are incredibly expensive, shipped all the way from the East, and using a lot of them shows that you are wealthy enough to do so. It's like a modern-day car commercial where they put in all the fancy features you'll never use just to show off. A little bit of spice would be great, but this is an assault on your taste buds. It's as if someone took a perfectly fine piece of meat and then accidentally dropped a whole spice rack on it. And the repetition. Your diet is a relentless cycle of meat and bread. You might have some vegetables from the garden, but they are often boiled to mush. The feast is a meat parade: venison, boar, mutton, beef, and then more venison. Your body, already a breeding ground for various ailments, is starting to feel the effects. You can feel a familiar ache in your joints. Gout, the disease of kings. It's caused by a diet rich in meat and ale. You've had it since you were a young man, a constant reminder of your decadent yet deeply unhealthy lifestyle. As you eat, you're expected to be entertained. Minstrels sing songs of epic battles and tragic love. A jester performs tricks and tells jokes, many of which are barely humorous, and are often at the expense of someone in the court. The noise is constant, a low buzzing hum that makes it difficult to have a serious conversation. But you're the king and you have to talk. To the French ambassador who is watching your every move. To the bishop who wants a new church built. To your own brother who probably wants to assassinate you. It's a high-stakes meeting conducted while a guy in a jester costume does a silly dance. It's so absurd it's almost funny. You wonder what a time-traveling tourist would think. Oh, look, the most important man in the country is talking about a peace treaty, while a guy in a ridiculous hat juggles rotten oranges. Now, here's a less-known detail about these royal feasts. You are not safe. In fact, you are never safe. But at a feast, the threat is particularly high. Your food is always tasted by a trusted servant before you eat it. The tasters, a very specific and important role in a king's court, would take a small bite of everything on your platter, then wait a few moments to make sure they didn't drop dead. It's a grim ritual, a silent acknowledgement of the constant threat of poison. You watch your taster, a pale, nervous man, as he takes a bite of your food. You can't help but think about how many people would be happy to see you gone. It makes the food taste a little bit less savory. The sanitation, or lack thereof, is also a major issue. Remember how we said there were no forks? You're eating with your fingers, but so is everyone else. And they aren't using napkins, just wiping their hands on the rough linen tablecloths or on their own clothes. The platters and cups are shared. Everyone drinks from the same goblet. A common historical fact is that this lack of hygiene contributed to the spread of diseases. A feast with hundreds of people crammed into one room, all sharing food and drink, is a perfect incubator for a plague. You are literally eating with people who might be carrying a dozen different diseases. It's a very high-risk meal. You finish your first bowl of pottage and are presented with a platter of roasted chicken. It's tough, and the skin is charred in some places and soggy in others. You tear off a piece trying to ignore the way the meat seems to fall off the bone a little too easily. You can't complain, of course. The meal is a gift from the gods, a symbol of your power. But in reality, you'd rather have a simple meal of fresh vegetables and bread. A modern-day salad bar would be a king's dream. No, a king's fantasy. The wine flows freely served in large leather bottles called flagons. It's often watered down, but it's also a way to dull the senses and make the whole ordeal slightly more bearable. You take a long draught from your cup, trying to wash away the taste of the stringy chicken. It's a simple sour vintage, nothing like the sweet wines of today, but it's wet and it's a distraction. Historians still debate whether medieval kings fully understood the link between their unhealthy diets and their short lifespans. Did they know that the constant feasts and endless supply of meat and alcohol were slowly killing them? Or did they just accept that a life of power was also a life of disease? It's a fascinating question, a real puzzle for scholars. Was this just a symptom of the times, or was it a specific consequence of their lifestyle? Your body, with its aching joints and persistent stomach pains, feels like a living testament to the second theory. Another round of dishes is brought in, a pie filled with chopped minced mystery meat and some baked apples. The apple pie looks promising, but you know it's just a way to make the dry, unsweetened fruit edible. The whole meal is a study in inefficiency and unnecessary opulence. You think about how much time and energy and resources have been spent just to feed you this one meal. The cost of a single feast could feed a small village for a month. The jester is now performing a series of crude physical jokes, and the crowd roars with laughter. You have to smile, it's part of the act. You have to be seen as a man of the people, even though you are so far removed from their lives. You try to catch a glimpse of the jester's face to see if he's as miserable as you are, but his face is a mask of paint and forced cheer. Maybe he's a true professional, a man who has perfected the art of hiding his true feelings behind a ridiculous facade. You can relate to that. The king's life is nothing if not a continuous performance. Finally, the meal is over. The platters are cleared and the musicians play a final song. You feel bloated and lethargic. Your stomach churns, and you have that heavy, uncomfortable feeling that comes from eating too much rich, greasy food. The feast was a success in the eyes of the court. It showed your power, your generosity, and your wealth. But for you, it was just another chore, a gauntlet of social expectations, physical discomfort, and a lingering sense of unease. The work of the day, however, is far from over. The feast was just a break, a momentary pause in the endless cycle of ruling. And as you rise from your hard, uncomfortable chair, you feel a deep, soul-crushing weariness. The afternoon awaits, full of more meetings, more decisions, and more people. And all you want to do is go to your unheated, drafty room and take a nap. The midday feast is over, but the work is not. You feel heavy and sluggish, your stomach groaning with the effort of digesting a veritable farm's worth of overcooked meat. All you want is a dark, quiet room and a place to rest your eyes for just a moment. You're starting to believe that your body has forgotten what a proper nap feels like. You are a king. You can do anything you want, right? Except that, no, there's no time for rest. A herald. A man with a booming voice and a chest-filling capacity for wind announces to the hall that the king is now leaving. You feel a pang of dread. Leaving? Leaving for where? To a different castle, a different city, a different part of the kingdom, where you will do the same things you just did here, but with a different set of people. Your grand, triumphant journeys are a thing of legend in the songs of the minstrels. The king on a white horse, a shining figure of power and majesty, riding through a cheering crowd. The reality is 1,000 times more complicated and about 1,000 times more miserable. It's a logistical nightmare that makes a modern-day move seem like a simple trip to the corner store. The entire court, not just you, is on the move. Your household, your servants, your guards, your pages, your cooks, your jester, your dog, handlers, all of them. We're talking hundreds, sometimes thousands of people. All their belongings, their food, their furniture, and even their chamber pots have to be packed up onto dozens of creaking, groaning carts. As you step outside, the chaos is overwhelming. The air is thick with dust and the smell of stressed-out horses and unwashed humanity. Your horse, a large, powerful stallion, stands nervously, a groom holding its reins. It's a magnificent creature, but you know that riding it will be a test of endurance. You have to mount it yourself, of course, a royal display of virility and strength. But you feel your joints ache and your stomach lurch as you swing your leg over the saddle. The saddle is made of hard, unyielding leather, a thing of beauty and torture. And so you set off. Not on a smooth paved road, but on a rutted, muddy track that meanders through fields and forests. It's a common historical fact that medieval roads were terrible. They were little more than widened footpaths made worse by centuries of use by carts and animals. When it rains, they turn into a muddy swamp. When it's dry, they are a cloud of thick, choking dust that gets into your clothes, your hair, and your lungs. You try to breathe through your mouth, but the dust is everywhere. Your clothes, your glorious, expensive, cumbersome clothes, are instantly stained with dirt and grime. You sit on your horse for hours, feeling every bump and every rut in the road. Your legs cramp, your back aches, and your backside is starting to protest in a very serious way. You look out over the landscape, which is mostly fields and the occasional small village. The journey is long and monotonous, broken up only by the constant fear of danger. This is a common historical fact too. Travel was incredibly dangerous. You are a king, and your procession is a moving treasure trove. You have gold, silver, and enough supplies to last you for days. You are a prime target. The threat isn't just from bandits. A rival noble, a disgruntled cousin, a foreign spy, all of them would love to take a crack at you. Your guard is a formidable force, but they are spread out trying to protect the endless line of carts and people. A surprise ambush is a very real possibility. You find yourself constantly scanning the tree line, your hand instinctively going to the hilt of the ornamental sword you wear at your side. It's a useless gesture, of course. You haven't fought a real battle in years, and if someone were to charge out of the trees with a lance, you would be little more than a pincushion. The constant state of alert, the low hum of anxiety that you feel every moment you're on the road is exhausting. You realize that a king's journey is less a royal parade and more a very slow, very public game of Russian roulette. And the weather. The sun beats down on you and your heavy wool clothes feel like a personal sauna. You are sweating profusely and the smell is, well, you've gotten used to it. The dust cakes onto your skin and mixes with the sweat. You think about modern air conditioning, about a nice smooth highway, about a cup holder. You almost laugh. The king of a vast kingdom fantasizing about a cup holder. This is your life. And it's not even raining. If it were, you would be a cold, soggy, miserable lump of a person slogging through the mud. Now, for a less-known detail as you travel, you are constantly being fed and housed by the people you visit. This is a very old tradition called purveyance. When you and your massive retinue roll into a village or a small monastery, they have to provide you with food and lodging. This is a duty, a tax on their community. For a small village, this can be an economic disaster. Imagine trying to feed a few hundred people for a night with your meager resources. It's a huge burden, and it's a source of resentment. You see the faces of the villagers as you ride by, and they aren't cheering. They are looking at you with a mix of fear and resignation. Your glorious journey is in fact a source of profound suffering for the very people you are supposed to protect. It's one of those bitter ironies of your position. The people sing your praises, but they curse the day your procession darkens their doorstep. You stop for a brief lunch in a field. No tables, no chairs, just a blanket spread on the ground. You eat a piece of tough dry bread and some dried meat. The food is simple, a far cry from the feast you just left. You watch as a page nervously serves you a cup of ale. No one is safe, not even during a lunch break. You feel a fly land on your hand, and you just brush it off. You've given up. You are a part of the natural world now, a walking, riding, fly-covered monument to discomfort. The journey continues in the afternoon. The hours bleed together. The sun slowly descends and the air begins to cool. The monotony is almost hypnotic. The rhythmic thud of the horse's hooves, the creaking of the carts, the low murmur of your guards. Your mind wanders. You think about the state of your kingdom. Is the French king plotting against you? Is that new tax going to cause a rebellion? You are constantly, relentlessly thinking about work. There is no off switch. Your journey isn't a break from your duties, it's just a different kind of duty. Historians still debate whether this constant movement was truly an effective way to rule. Did the king's physical presence in different parts of his kingdom really strengthen his rule, or was it an inefficient, dangerous, and outdated system? The argument for it is that it allowed the king to see his kingdom with his own eyes, to hear the petitions of his subjects directly. But the argument against it is that it was a huge waste of resources, a drain on the kingdom, and a constant invitation for an uprising. From your perspective, sitting on a horse with a cramped leg, you lean heavily toward the inefficient and dangerous side of the debate. As the sun sets, you finally see your destination, the dark outline of a castle against the pale sky. It's a welcome sight, a beacon of hope, but you know what it means. It means another feast, another round of endless meetings, another sleepless night in a cold stone room. It means the end of one journey and the beginning of another. You ride into the outer bailey, and a few people have gathered to watch you. They look tired, probably forced to come out and welcome you. You try to give them a grand wave, but your arm is so stiff it feels like it's made of wood. You dismount, your legs wobbly and sore. Your body is a symphony of aches and pains. You are covered in a layer of grime, and your clothes are wrinkled and stained. You are greeted by the lord of the castle, a man with a booming laugh and an unsettlingly enthusiastic handshake. You force a smile, you've made it, you have arrived. And the work, of course, has just begun. The day has been a blur of physical discomfort, psychological stress, and relentless grinding bone-deep weariness. And all you did was travel from one place to another. You have arrived. You are safe, for now. The castle, a new fortress in a different part of your kingdom, offers temporary sanctuary from the dangers of the road. But as you step through the gates caked in dust and aching from the ride, you know there is no rest. Your body screams for a warm bath, a change of clothes, and a few hours of blessed silence. But that's not what awaits you. A chamberlain, a man with a stiff posture and an even stiffer demeanor, informs you that the court is already waiting. Waiting for what? For you to dispense justice, to make decisions, to be the king. So you are led not to a private chamber, but to the very same great hall you've grown to despise. The smells are the same smoke-unwashed bodies, stale ale, but now they are mixed with the fresh scent of political intrigue. The room is filled with a new cast of characters, the local lords and knights who have traveled to meet you. You are once again on display. Your justice system is not a modern court of law. It's not a room with a judge, a jury, and a set of written rules. It's a messy, personal, and often arbitrary process conducted on the spot. You sit on a high-backed chair, a makeshift throne, and the people come before you one by one. The spectacle begins. You are the final authority, the man whose word is law. But with that power comes a heavy burden. You are not just judging the case. You are judging the people. You are weighing their power, their alliances, their loyalty to you. The first case is a dispute over land. Two minor barons, their faces red with anger, stand before you, shouting accusations at each other. One claims the other stole a stretch of forest. The other claims the land has been in his family for centuries. You listen to both sides, but it's difficult to make sense of the tangled web of half-truths and blatant lies. There are no surveyors, no land deeds, no historical records you can trust. There are only two men, a pair of witnesses, and your gut feeling. Your decision won't be based on what's right, but on what's best for you. Who is more powerful? Who is more loyal? Which man would be a better ally? It's like a medieval game of poker, and you're a tired, sore-ridden card player with a terrible hand. You think about modern courtrooms with their lawyers and depositions and evidence. It must be so simple. Here the evidence is nothing more than a desperate plea and a thinly veiled threat. This is where a very common historical fact comes into play: trial by combat. One of the barons, a large, thick-necked man with a scar running down his cheek, challenges the other to a duel. "Let God decide," he shouts, his voice echoing in the hall. And you, as king, must grant his request. You can't refuse. It's an ancient custom, a way to settle a dispute when the facts are murky. It's a spectacle, a very public way of saying that your justice system is not about justice, it's about strength. A man's guilt or innocence is determined by his ability to swing a sword. It's an insane idea, but here it is, the very real foundation of your legal system. It makes you almost miss the dull ache in your leg from the long ride. Almost. You watch as the two men are given a time and a place to fight. A sense of morbid curiosity fills the room. Everyone is eager to see who will win. It's a form of entertainment, a barbaric reality show with real swords. And you, the king, are the showrunner. The victor will be declared the rightful owner of the land, and the loser will be, well, he will be dead. You are an arbiter of life and death, but your decisions are based on nothing more than a brawl. The second case is even more complex. A noblewoman, her eyes wide with fear, stands before you. She accuses her husband of plotting against you. She has no proof, just a story of whispered conversations and a stolen letter she never read. Her husband, a powerful lord with a well-earned reputation for cunning, stands beside her, his face a mask of feigned innocence. This is not a legal case. This is pure political intrigue. Is she telling the truth, or is she trying to get rid of a husband she no longer loves? Is the husband really a traitor, or is he a victim of a cruel lie? You have no way of knowing. You have to rely on your instincts. Here is a lesser-known detail about the court. You have a dozen spies and informants right in the room with you. They're disguised as servants, scribes, and even fellow courtiers. Their job is to listen, to watch, and to report to you every whispered conversation and every furtive glance. You scan the room, looking at the familiar faces, trying to guess which one of them is secretly a spy working for you. The man with the scar on his nose. The page who never seems to make eye contact. The beautiful countess who seems a little too interested in the case. It's a constant low-grade paranoia that never goes away. You trust no one. Not really. Your friends are your enemies, and your enemies are your friends, all depending on the shifting winds of power. You have a decision to make. If you side with the wife, you might make a powerful enemy in her husband. If you side with the husband, you might be letting a traitor go free. You look at the two of them. They both look scared, but you know that in this game, fear is a weapon. You decide to take a risk. You declare that you will investigate the matter yourself, giving you time to gather more information. It's a political move, a way to buy time to see who aligns with whom. You are a detective, a diplomat, and a judge all at once. It's a lot for a man who is still covered in road dust. The rest of the session is a blur of petty grievances and power plays. A knight complains that his neighbor's cattle keep straying onto his land. A bishop asks for a favor. A merchant begs you to lower the taxes on his wool. Each decision is a tiny piece of a larger, more complicated puzzle. You are not a ruler of a single kingdom, but of 1,000 tiny fiefdoms, and each one requires your constant attention. The weight of it all is crushing. Now, for an academic debate, historians still debate whether this system of personal justice was truly arbitrary. Was it just the king's whim? Or were there unwritten rules, a kind of understood code of conduct that governed these decisions? The argument is that a king couldn't be too arbitrary, or he would lose the support of his lords. He had to show that he was a fair and just ruler, even if the definition of fair was very different from our own. But from where you sit, watching a knight argue over a few stray cows, it all feels so personal, so messy, so dependent on who you happen to be on good terms with today. The session finally ends. You are dismissed to your bedchamber, but you are not alone. Your advisors follow you, their voices a low hum of chatter. They want to discuss the cases, to offer their opinions, to whisper new information into your ear. The work never stops. You sit in your chair, exhausted as they talk around you. You are a king, and your life is a constant series of high-stakes decisions made on the fly with no real rest. You think about the two men who are about to duel for a piece of land. And you think about the noblewoman and her husband and what secrets they are hiding. And you realize that your power is a paradox. You are the ultimate authority, but you are also a puppet in a game you never truly get to win. The legal spectacle is over. You've made your rulings, dodged a few political traps, and now finally you can retreat. But retreat to where? Not to a peaceful private sanctuary. You are a king, and your castle, the very symbol of your power, is a cold, smoky, and surprisingly public place. The stone halls, which look so grand and majestic from the outside, are a maze of drafty corridors and echoing chambers. Your bedchamber, which sounds like a place of rest, is just another large, cold room. It's a space with a high vaulted ceiling and thin, high windows that do a terrible job of keeping out the elements. As you enter, a servant is busy stoking the fire in the large stone hearth. A smoky haze fills the air, stinging your eyes and coating the back of your throat. The fire is a comfort, a welcome glow of orange light in the darkness, but its heat only extends a few feet. Beyond its immediate warmth, the room is bone-chillingly cold. You can see your breath in the air, a fact that never ceases to amaze you, even after all these years. Your bed, the focal point of the room, is a grand piece of furniture, a massive wooden frame with heavy curtains. It looks luxurious, but a closer inspection reveals a different story. The mattress is stuffed with straw, which rustles and shifts every time you move. It's lumpy and hard, and you can already feel the telltale itch of the fleas and lice that have made a home in the hay. The heavy wool blankets, while thick, feel scratchy against your skin. You think about your modern counterpart, a king of a small, well-heated European country, probably sleeping on a memory foam mattress in a climate-controlled room. The thought almost makes you laugh. Your bed is a beautiful prison. As you sit on the edge of your bed, a servant brings you a basin of water. It's cold and murky. The idea of a hot bath of soaking your aching muscles in a tub of clean, warm water is a fantasy. A common historical fact is that a full bath was a major event in the medieval era. It wasn't a daily ritual. It took hours to heat enough water and carry it barrel by barrel to the tub. So, you don't bathe. You just wash your hands and face with this freezing water, a perfunctory ritual of false cleanliness. Your body is a constant state of discomfort. You are always a little bit dirty, always a little bit itchy, always a little bit cold. And you are never ever alone. Even in your bedchamber, a handful of guards' pages and trusted servants sleep on pallets and benches around the room. They are there for your protection, but they are also a constant reminder that you have no personal space. You can't just get up in the middle of the night to use the chamber pot without someone watching. A private moment is a luxury you simply cannot afford. You have an audience for everything you do from waking up to falling asleep. It's like living in a fishbowl, a constant low-grade stress that never goes away. You are the most powerful man in the kingdom, and yet you are less free than the lowest peasant. You look around the room. The walls are bare stone stained black, with soot from the hearth. Tapestries hang from some of the walls, but they are mostly for show and do little to block the constant drafts that whistle through the cracks. The windows are small with thin panes of glass or sometimes just wooden shutters that let in a sliver of light, but also a constant stream of cold air. You think about a modern window with its double panes and its tight seal, and you feel a wave of envy. You are the king, and you are living in a giant stone box that is colder inside than it is outside. Now, for a lesser-known detail about life in a medieval castle, even the most private of your spaces is a conduit for information. There's no such thing as a closed-door meeting because the doors are not soundproof. Every conversation, every argument, every whisper is a potential piece of gossip that could be spread throughout the court. Your servants, your pages, they hear everything. They are your eyes and ears, but their eyes and ears are also trained on you. It's a two-way street of information, and you are always aware of it. It's a kind of psychological warfare, a constant paranoia. You never know who is listening, who is reporting your every word, and who is secretly working for a rival lord. It makes it very difficult to truly relax. The idea of a warm bath. An actual bath is something you think about often. When you do have one, it's a ceremonial event. A large wooden tub is brought in, and the servants, sweating and grunting, fill it with hot water from the kitchen. The water is often murky and has a distinct metallic taste. And you don't bathe alone. Your trusted courtiers and advisors will often join you. It's a kind of mobile office where you can conduct business while sitting in a tub of lukewarm, dirty water. It's a very strange and a very unsettling experience. It's a moment of supposed luxury, but it is deeply uncomfortable and utterly devoid of privacy. You'd rather have a quick private rinse in a modern shower, even if it meant giving up your crown. The night falls. The fire crackles and pops, casting long, dancing shadows on the walls. The cold seeps in, and you pull the heavy wool blankets up to your chin. The straw rustles as you shift your weight, trying to find a comfortable spot. Your body is still protesting from the journey, the feast, and the court session. Your mind is still racing with all the decisions you've made, all the enemies you've possibly created. There is no quiet moment. The guards are breathing heavily and a page is snoring softly in the corner. The world of your castle, the fortress that is supposed to protect you, is just a giant, cold, smoky room with too many people in it. Historians still debate just how comfortable medieval castles actually were. Were they truly as cold and drafty as we imagine? Or did the people who lived in them have ways of making them more comfortable, ways that we just don't understand? The argument is that the tapestries and the furniture were more than just decoration. They were a way of insulating the stone walls. The fire, while smoky, was a source of constant heat. The people who lived in them were simply used to a different level of comfort than we are today. But from your perspective, lying on a straw bed listening to a page snore and feeling the constant itch of fleas, the debate seems pointless. You are a king and you are incredibly uncomfortable. You close your eyes. The sleep you've been craving is finally here, but it's a restless, fitful sleep. You are still on guard even in your dreams. The cold, the dirt, the constant fear of being watched, it all adds up. Your castle is a physical representation of your life, grand and beautiful on the outside, but cold, lonely, and deeply uncomfortable on the inside. You are a king, and even in your own home, you are a prisoner. The castle feels colder now, a kind of pre-battle chill that has nothing to do with the drafts in the stone walls. The court session is a distant memory, the political squabbles and petty grievances a foolish game. War has come. A messenger, his face pale and streaked with dirt, has just delivered the news a neighboring kingdom led by a rival king you have a long and complicated history with has crossed your border. They are marching on your lands. The whispers in the hall have stopped, replaced by a tense, nervous energy. The time for talking is over. It's time for war. Your first order is to send out riders to summon your vassals. You have a few days, maybe a week, before you must march to meet the enemy. This isn't a quick process. The riders are fast, but they still have to travel for days to reach the furthest corners of your kingdom. It's a logistical nightmare, a slow, creaking machine of command and control. You think about modern warfare where a commander can just send a quick message to a general hundreds of miles away. You have no such luxury. Your army, your very life, depends on the speed of a few horses and the loyalty of the men who ride them. The Great Hall, which was just a short time ago a place of feasting and legal drama, is now a command center. Your advisors and generals are poring over a large map, their fingers tracing the paths of your army and your enemies. They are talking about strategy, about numbers, about terrain. But you are a king, and your duty is not to stand behind them and plan. Your duty is to lead. And to lead, you must wear your armor. The process of putting on your armor is a ritual that feels more like a punishment. A few pages and a couple of squires gather around you, their faces serious. The armor is not a single piece. It's a collection of a dozen different pieces of steel leather and chainmail. The first layer is a padded jacket, a gambeson that feels like a heavy quilt. It's thick and hot and instantly makes you sweat. Then comes the chainmail, a mesh of interlocking steel rings that feels surprisingly heavy. You can feel the weight of it, a cold metallic embrace that promises both protection and immense discomfort. Finally, the plate armor, the sabatons for your feet, the greaves for your legs, the cuisses for your thighs, the cuirass for your chest, the gauntlets for your hands, and the pauldrons for your shoulders. Each piece is a masterwork of craftsmanship, but it is also a beautiful gilded prison. As the squires strap on each piece, you can feel your body being weighed down, your movements becoming slower and more deliberate. This is a common historical fact. A full suit of plate armor could weigh anywhere from 40 to 60 pounds. It's a serious workout just to stand up. Forget about fighting in it. You feel like a night-sized can of sardines. Your helmet, a heavy metal bucket with a small slit for your eyes, is the last piece. It's a claustrophobic enclosure that cuts off your peripheral vision and muffles the sounds around you. You can only see what's directly in front of you. The world, which was already a bit of a blur, is now a narrow tunnel of vision. You can hear your own breathing, a loud, raspy sound inside the helmet. You are a king, and you are about to lead your men into battle, and all you can think about is how hot you are and how hard it is to see. The march to the battlefield is not the triumphant charge you see in the songs. It's a slow, agonizing trek. You are on your war horse, which is also clad in armor, its heavy steps a rhythmic thud against the earth. Your army a mix of knights on horseback, and foot soldiers follows behind you, their faces grim. The sounds of their marching feet, the creak of their armor, the low murmur of their conversation, it's all a symphony of dread. The air smells of leather sweat and fear. You try to speak to give an encouraging word, but your voice is muffled by the helmet. You are a figurehead, a symbol, a target. The battlefield is a muddy, uneven field near a river. The rival army is already there, a dark, menacing line on the horizon. There is a moment of stillness, a hushed quiet before the storm. And then the trumpets sound. You and your men begin to ride a slow, powerful charge that turns into a full gallop. The ground shakes, the noise is deafening, and the smell of fear is now mixed with the smell of horse sweat. The battle itself is a chaotic, brutal, and utterly terrifying experience. It's not a grand choreographed dance of combat. It's a messy brawl. The horses slam into each other, the men collide, and the sounds of steel on steel and the screams of men and horses are overwhelming. You swing your sword, but the blows feel clumsy and slow. Your armor is a shield, but it's also a handicap. You can barely move. You can't see what's to your left or right. You are in a desperate personal struggle, and you have no idea what's happening in the rest of the battle. You're fighting for your life, for your crown, and you can't even see your own men. Here is a lesser-known detail about medieval warfare, the merciful killing. After the first charge, when the knights are fighting, the battle turns into a brutal, no-holds-barred slaughter. A lot of the foot soldiers, the ones who aren't fighting in the front, have a very specific job. They go around and finish off the wounded. It's a grim, unspeakable task, a part of the glorious battle that no one ever talks about. You can hear the screams of the wounded, and you know what they mean. The battle is a brutal, heartless thing, a cold machine of death. The glory of it is a lie. It's just a dirty, bloody, and horrifying business. The fighting feels like it lasts for hours, but it's probably only a few minutes. The chaos slowly subsides. You are still alive. Your armor is dented and scratched, and your body aches in 1,000 places. You have a few minor cuts and bruises, but you are not seriously wounded. You are one of the lucky ones. You look around, and the scene is a nightmare. The field is littered with bodies, both friend and foe. The air is thick with the smell of blood. The moans of the wounded are a chilling soundtrack to your victory. A common historical fact is that the battlefield was a death sentence, not just for the ones who were killed in the fighting, but for the wounded. The medical care was non-existent. A barber surgeon, the same man who trims your beard, is now tending to the wounded, but all he has is a few crude instruments and a bottle of strong ale to dull the pain. A simple wound, if it gets infected, will be a death sentence. You are a king, and you have just won a great victory, and all you can think about is the cold, hard reality of the men who are now screaming for a help you can't give them. Historians still debate the true psychological impact of medieval combat on the soldiers. Did they suffer from what we would now call PTSD? Or were they just so conditioned to this kind of violence that it didn't affect them the same way? The argument is that they had no time to process it, no way to talk about it. They just had to live with it. From your perspective, standing on the battlefield, the smell of blood in your nose and the screams of the wounded in your ears, you know that the answer is yes. It affects you. It changes you. The glory of victory is a cold, empty feeling, and all you can feel is the weariness and the knowledge that your life is a constant, brutal struggle. You have survived the battle. Your armor is dented and stained with mud, your body aches in 100 places, and your mind is a jumble of gruesome images. You are victorious. The rival army has fled. The bards will sing songs of your courage, but for you, the victory feels hollow. It's just another grim chore. You are back in your castle, but there is no time for celebration. The exhaustion from the battle is immense, and you can feel your body protesting from the physical strain. The cuts and bruises you sustained are not a badge of honor. They are a source of deep, gnawing anxiety. A minor gash on your forearm, which you got from a glancing blow during the fight, has turned red and is starting to throb. You can feel a low fever settling in a warmth that has nothing to do with the fire and everything to do with the pain. Your body, already a breeding ground for ailments from years of poor diet and unsanitary conditions, is now facing a new enemy. It's not an enemy you can defeat with a sword. It's an enemy that's inside you. The barber surgeon, the same man who trims your hair and pulls your teeth, is called to your chamber. He is not a doctor in the modern sense of the word. He is a man who knows how to cut and how to bleed. He approaches you with a nervous demeanor, his hands trembling slightly as he examines your wound. He pronounces his diagnosis with great seriousness. Your humors are unbalanced. This is a common historical fact. Medieval medicine was based on the ancient Greek theory of the four humors: blood phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. Illness was not caused by germs, but by an imbalance of these fluids in your body. It sounds ridiculous to a modern ear, but to a medieval person, it was the scientific truth. His treatment is even more concerning. He decides that you have too much blood and that it needs to be released. He produces a set of leeches, plump and black and wriggling in a jar. He places them on your forearm and you can feel their tiny, sharp bites. The sight of them swelling with your blood is both horrifying and fascinating. You try to tell yourself that this is for your own good, that this will fix the imbalance and make you better. But a small part of you, the part that remembers all those times your people were killed by what we now know were simple infections, is screaming in protest. You are a king, and your illness is a political crisis. As you lie in bed sweating with fever, you are not alone. Your advisors, your family, your most trusted courtiers, they are all there, a constant presence in your room. They are watching you, waiting for a sign of weakness, a sign of recovery. They are not just concerned for your health, they are concerned for their own power. If you die, a new king will take the throne, and they will either lose their position or gain new ones. The politics never stop, not even when you are on the brink of death. You have to be strong. You have to pretend that you are not in pain. You have to hide your fear. Your barber surgeon is not the only one who comes to you with remedies. Your wife brings you a poultice of crushed herbs that smells like a mix of rotting vegetables and something vaguely pleasant. Your bishop, a solemn, pious man, brings you a relic, a small piece of bone from a long-dead saint. He tells you to hold it close to pray for a miracle. A low-born peasant, a woman who claims to be a healer, offers you a mixture of boiled tree bark and crushed snails. You are presented with a dizzying array of cures, some religious, some magical, and some just plain disgusting. It's a bit like a medieval infomercial where everyone is trying to sell you a different product that probably won't work. Now, here's an unusual or lesser-known detail. In times of great illness, the line between medicine and magic was very blurry. A person who claimed to be a healer would often combine herbal remedies with chants and prayers. They would believe that the disease was not just a physical ailment, but a spiritual one. You as king are not immune to this. You accept the relic. You let the peasant woman give you her strange concoction. You are desperate. You would try anything. The days blend into a feverish haze. The cold of the stone room and the heat of your fever are a constant struggle. You are in and out of consciousness. The faces of your family and your courtiers swim in front of you. You can hear their voices, a low, anxious murmur. You are a king, but you are a human being and you are terrified. You have led men into battle, you have killed, you have ruled, and now you are faced with a small, invisible enemy that you cannot fight. A common historical fact is that the average lifespan for a medieval king was much shorter than we would expect. The constant stress, the poor diet, the lack of sanitation, and the ineffective medical care all contributed to a much higher mortality rate. A simple cut, a common cold, a stomach ache, any of these could be a death sentence. You are a living testament to that fact. You have survived battles, but you are a hostage to your own body. Historians still debate the true effectiveness of medieval medicine. Did the doctors and healers have any real knowledge of anatomy? Or were their treatments just a form of superstition that sometimes by pure luck worked? The argument is that some of the herbal remedies they used did have some medicinal properties. But a small nagging voice in the back of your mind tells you that it was mostly luck. That you are still alive because you have a strong constitution, not because of the leeches or the boiled tree bark. You finally break the fever. You wake up drenched in sweat, but the pain in your forearm is less severe, and the throbbing has subsided. The barber surgeon pronounces you cured, and your court breathes a collective sigh of relief. You have survived. But the experience has changed you. You are no longer the invincible warrior king. You are a mortal man, and you have come face to face with the grim reality of your own mortality. Your body, which was once a tool of power, is now a fragile thing, a constant reminder of your own vulnerability. The victory in battle feels like a fleeting moment of glory compared to the long, slow, and terrifying struggle for your life. And as you recover, you realize that your life is not a grand, glorious story, but a constant, brutal negotiation with your own mortality. You are a king, but you are a man, and you are not immortal. You have cheated death. The fever has broken, the pain in your forearm has subsided, and your barber surgeon is taking all the credit for your miraculous recovery. You are weak, but you are alive. And as you lie in your bed listening to the hushed conversations of your advisors, a new kind of terror fills your mind. It's not the fear of battle or the fear of a rival king, but the fear of a different kind of ending. An ending where your line dies with you, where all your battles and all your hard-won victories are for nothing. The issue is clear now more than ever. You have no male heir. Your marriage was not a matter of choice or love. It was a political deal, an alliance forged in a hall of maps and treaties. Your wife, a princess from a neighboring kingdom, was a prize you won. You met her on your wedding day, a solemn, nervous girl with a distant look in her eyes. The wedding feast was a blur of food ale and strained conversation. But the true purpose of the marriage was not the feast. It was the bedchamber. And even in that most intimate of spaces, you are not alone. The wedding night. A moment we now associate with privacy and romance was a public spectacle. It is a common historical fact. Your family and your courtiers accompany you and your wife to the bedchamber, a ritual known as bedding the couple. They are there to make sure that the marriage is well consummated. The pressure is immense. You are not just a husband, you are a breeder. The future of the entire kingdom rests on your shoulders and on a public performance in a cold, smoky room with dozens of people watching. It's the most unromantic moment you have ever experienced. It's a job. A cold, clinical, and deeply uncomfortable job. The royal bedchamber is not a place of intimacy. It's a public space. Your wife, your queen, is a constant presence in your life, but she is a stranger. Her attendants, her ladies-in-waiting, and her guards are always around. You never have a moment alone. Her life, like yours, is a constant performance. The two of you are just a part of a larger machine, a cog in the wheel of a dynasty. You are a king, and you have a wife, and you live under the same roof. But you are two lonely people in a crowd. You're married, but you're not partners. The pressure to produce an heir is a suffocating burden. Your kingdom has been stable for decades, but everyone knows that without a son to take the throne, the whole thing could fall apart. Your own brothers, your cousins, and a dozen ambitious nobles are watching and waiting. Every time your wife has a child, the whole court holds its breath. A daughter. There is a polite, feigned sense of joy, but you can feel the disappointment in the air, a thick, heavy silence. A daughter is not a solution. A daughter is a political problem, a pawn to be married off to a rival to secure a new alliance. A daughter is a reminder of your failure. Now, for an unusual or lesser-known detail, the constant prayers and rituals to produce a male heir. Your wife, a devout woman, spends hours in the chapel praying for a son. Priests are summoned to bless the bedchamber, and holy relics are placed under the mattress. The women of the court offer you strange concoctions of herbs and flowers, whispered remedies passed down through generations. The entire kingdom is participating in this bizarre, superstitious ritual to force a male child into being. You are a king, a man of power, but you are hostage to the whims of biology and fate. It's a cruel irony. You can command an army, but you can't command a male heir. The pressure affects your relationship with your wife. She is not just your wife, she is your vessel. And if she fails to produce a son, she is seen as a failure. You can see the fear in her eyes, the constant low-grade anxiety. You, a man who has led men into battle, a man who has faced death and betrayal, feel a deep, soul-crushing sadness for her. She is just a young woman thousands of miles from her home, living in a cold foreign castle, and her only purpose is to produce a son. The years pass. Your wife has a few daughters. They are beautiful, smart, and kind, and you love them dearly. But that love is constantly overshadowed by the grim political reality. You look at them, and all you can see is a potential alliance, a way to secure a future for your kingdom. Your father, a grim and serious man, once told you that a king's love is a dangerous luxury. You understand now what he meant. Historians still debate the emotional reality of these royal marriages. Were they truly as cold and clinical as we imagine? Did any of these kings and queens find genuine affection and love in their arranged unions? The argument is that sometimes a genuine bond would form over time, a deep and abiding friendship born out of shared hardship and loneliness. But from your perspective, sitting in your cold, empty bedchamber watching your wife pray, you know that the political reality of your lives is the dominant force. The love, if it exists, is a fragile thing, a small, flickering flame in a great, empty hall. The pressure builds. Your lords are getting restless. They whisper in the corners of the great hall. They ask you when you will produce a son. The question is a subtle taunt, a way of reminding you that your rule is not as secure as you think. You are a man in your 50s now, and your body is starting to fail you. The illnesses are more frequent, the pain is more constant, and the clock is ticking. The irony is not lost on you. You have survived battles, assassins, and a life-threatening illness. You have held onto your throne with an iron fist. But the one thing you cannot control is the one thing that will ultimately determine the fate of your kingdom. It's not your power or your strength that matters, it's your bloodline. And in this cruel game, you are not a king. You are just a man desperately trying to get a lottery ticket that he can't even buy. The specter of your own mortality, brought into sharp focus by the illness you just survived, has left you feeling hollow. The political pressures, particularly the suffocating burden of having no male heir, have turned every moment of your life into a tense, anxious game. You yearn for a distraction, a moment of release, a simple pleasure. You decide to do something that seems on the surface to be a break from the drudgery of ruling. You decide to go hunting. But of course, a king's hunt is not a simple walk in the woods with a bow. It's a massive logistical operation, a royal display of wealth and power. You and your court, a retinue of dozens of knights, houndsmen, and servants, ride out of the castle gates and into the nearby forest. The air, which was so thick and heavy inside the castle, now smells of pine and damp earth. The sound of the hounds, a pack of dozens of baying, excited animals, is a low roar that fills the air. It's an impressive sight, a show of force, a display of your dominion over the land and its creatures. You ride a large, powerful horse, and your bow is a finely crafted piece of wood and sinew. But you are not alone. Your courtiers ride behind you, their conversations a constant hum. They are watching you. They are watching to see if your hand is steady, if your eye is true, if you are a worthy king. The hunt is not a sport, it's a test of your physical prowess, a test of your power, a test of your health after your recent illness. You have to be good. You can't look weak. The pressure is immense. The simple pleasure of the chase is overshadowed by the need to perform. And when you finally corner a magnificent stag, a beautiful creature with a huge rack of antlers, you don't feel a thrill. You feel a sense of relief. You take aim, and the arrow flies true. The stag falls, and your men cheer, but your heart is not in it. You have to feign a sense of triumph, a grand gesture of victory. You stand over the fallen animal, a symbol of your power, but you feel empty inside. It's just another chore, another part of your job. The hunt is followed by a feast in the forest, a grand meal held in a clearing. The meat of the stag is roasted over a fire, and the ale flows freely. But even here in the middle of nature, you are not free. Your courtiers surround you, their voices a constant stream of flattery and rumor. The conversation is about politics, about rival lords, about the upcoming taxes. There is no break, no moment of true leisure. Even the simplest pleasure of a meal in the open air is a part of the performance. Now, for a common historical fact, the patronage of the arts was not for the king's personal enjoyment. It was a form of propaganda. When you commission a minstrel to write a song about your victory, it's not because you love his music. It's because you want to show your subjects that you are a great and powerful ruler. When you commission a beautiful tapestry for your hall, it's not because you appreciate its artistic merit. It's because you want to show everyone how wealthy you are. Your castle is filled with beautiful things, but they are not for your pleasure. They are a testament to your power. After a long day of hunting, you return to the castle. You are physically exhausted and mentally drained. But the day is not over. Your minstrels are waiting. They play a new song, a long, rambling epic about your victory in the recent battle. You have to sit and listen, feigning a sense of enjoyment. The music is a backdrop to your exhaustion, a constant reminder that even your moments of leisure are just another part of the performance. You are a patron of the arts, but only in the sense that you are a puppet master, pulling the strings of the people around you to create a beautiful but hollow image of your power. Now for a lesser-known detail. Even the very furniture in your castle is not for your comfort, but for your status. The chairs you sit and the table you eat at, the bed you sleep in, they are all designed to be a testament to your power. The carvings on the wood are not for aesthetic pleasure, they are a sign of your wealth. The heavy, cumbersome nature of the furniture is a way of showing that you are so important that you don't need to be comfortable. The idea of a king lounging in a soft chair is ridiculous. The king is a symbol, and his furniture is a part of that symbolism. It's another small, uncomfortable detail that adds up to a mountain of misery. You think about the absurdity of it all. You are a king. You can command armies, you can lead a hunt, you can commission art. But you cannot simply go for a walk in the woods without a dozen people watching you. You cannot sit and listen to music for the pure pleasure of it. You cannot just enjoy a meal without 1,000 political calculations running through your head. Your life is a gilded cage, and every pleasure is a burden. Historians still debate whether these royal hobbies were purely for political gain. Did medieval kings who were raised to believe in the absolute importance of their position ever truly find joy in anything, or was their entire life a form of work? The argument is that some of them must have found some sort of pleasure in their lives, that they were not just cold, unfeeling automatons. But from your perspective, sitting in your cold, smoky hall, feigning interest in a song about your own fake glory, you know that the answer is no. Your life is work, every second of every day. The hunt is over. The feast is over. The song is over. The day is finally coming to an end. You are alone, but not really alone. Your guards and pages are still in the room. You lie in your uncomfortable bed, feeling the aches in your body and the emptiness in your soul. You have all the power in the world, and yet you are a prisoner of your own position. You are a king, and your life is a constant, relentless, and utterly exhausting performance. The years have turned into a blur of feasts, political crises, and the constant nagging ache in your body. The king you once were, the man who led a charge in battle and ruled with an iron fist, is gone. You are an old man now. Your body is a fragile thing, a testament to a life of hard travel, bad food, and constant stress. The gout, once a passing ailment, is now a constant crippling pain in your joints. Your teeth, worn down from a lifetime of chewing coarse bread, are a mess of pain and decay. You are a king, but you are a human being, and your body is slowly but surely failing you. And with your physical decline comes a new kind of anxiety, a suffocating fear that permeates every moment of your day. The lack of a male heir, once a looming problem, is now a full-blown crisis. Your daughters are grown married off to foreign princes to secure alliances. They are safe for now, but they cannot inherit the throne. Your kingdom, the vast land you have bled and fought for, is a prize waiting to be claimed. Your death, once a distant possibility, is now a looming reality. And the people around you, your family, your advisors, your so-called friends, they are no longer a source of support. They are wolves circling a dying lion, waiting for their chance to pounce. Your days are no longer filled with the grand spectacle of battle or the hunt. They are filled with the slow, agonizing drama of your own end. You are bedridden now, and your bedchamber, which was once a cold public space, is now your entire world. You have no privacy, but you are utterly alone. Your sons, if you had them, would be fighting over the succession. But you have no sons. So the squabbling is done behind closed doors and hushed whispers and secret alliances. You are a witness to the dismantling of your own legacy, and there is nothing you can do to stop it. The pressure to secure your legacy is immense. You have your court chroniclers, of course, the men who write the history of your reign. They write about your great victories, your wise decisions, your devotion to God. But you know that their words are a performance, a grand lie. They are writing the history, they are paid to write the history that will make you look good. But a voice in the back of your mind, a small nagging voice, reminds you that history is a fickle mistress. A common historical fact is that the victor writes the history. But what if there is no clear victor? What if your kingdom is plunged into a war of succession the moment you close your eyes? Who will write your story then? And what will they say about the king who let his dynasty die out? The man who built an empire that crumbled the moment he was gone. You think about all the things you have done, the battles you have won, the people you have ruled, the taxes you have collected. But it all seems so pointless now. You look at your daughters and you love them, but you feel a deep sense of failure. Your legacy is not in their beauty or their kindness. It's in the son you never had. And this is a truth that is slowly killing you. Now, for a less-known detail. In your final years, your bedchamber, once filled with the hushed whispers of your advisors, is now filled with the hushed whispers of your physicians. They are not just treating you, they are experimenting on you. They are trying new remedies, strange concoctions of herbs and animal parts rituals that are a mix of medicine and magic. You are a guinea pig, a human subject in a grand and utterly futile experiment. They are trying to keep you alive not for your own sake, but for the sake of the kingdom. And you, the king who once commanded armies, can do nothing but submit. And so you lie there, a shell of a man, watching the slow, agonizing drama of your own end. Your mind, once sharp and cunning, is now a jumble of memories and anxieties. You think about all the times you were uncomfortable, all the times you were dirty, all the times you were in pain. And you realize that your life, which looked so grand from the outside, was just a long, slow, and miserable struggle. The gold and the jewels, the power and the glory, it was all a cage. A beautiful, gilded cage. You were a prisoner and your life was a performance, and now finally the curtain is about to fall. Historians still debate what truly killed many medieval kings. Was it the plague? Was it poison? Was it the lack of medical care? The argument is that it was a combination of all of these things. But for you, the answer is simple. You are dying of your life. You are dying of the constant stress, the lack of rest, the poor diet, the unsanitary conditions. You are dying of being a king, and in a way, it's a relief. The long, hard performance is almost over. You close your eyes. The noise of the court, the whispers of your advisors, the hushed prayers of your family, it all fades into a low, distant hum. You feel a sense of peace, a quiet calm that you haven't felt in years. The struggle is almost over. You are almost free. And as you feel the cold hand of death on your brow, you realize that your final act of defiance is to die. To finally be a king who can do something for himself. To simply cease to be.